The chief Washington analyst for the D.C. radio company is Victoria Jones. Victoria Jones DC is her Twitter handle. And I just wanted to do a quick check-in with her on what happened over the last 48 hours in the U.K. We're not seeing so much politicians, Republicans in the United States, desert Donald Trump. A couple did early on, specifically Bob Corker and Jeff Flake, and they got taken down for it. And now you got Justin Amash in Michigan, who confronted Trump, and he's being taken down for it. But nothing like what we saw in the UK. And I think this is because in the UK it's a lot harder to buy a politician. But I'd love to get Victoria's take on this. Victoria Jones. Hey, Victoria, what's up?
Well, hey, Tom. Just going off topic for a moment, if I can go totally off topic. A Norwegian scientist claims that the Loch Ness Monster is probably a giant eel. Just thought everybody should know that.
Okay, thank you.
I disagree. Having searched for Nessie myself when I was 15, I believe it's a monster.
Okay.
But speaking of monsters, she said, with a brilliant segue, that would be the House of Commons currently.
Right.
Well, the purge of 21 Conservative MPs was just astonishing, including the grandson of Winston Churchill, who, this is quite astonishing. A number of these people are former ministers.
Did I get it also that Boris Johnson's brother got bounced?
No. Today he resigned. He resigned. Joe Johnson. He resigned, citing differences. But I think both over Brexit and family tensions. They don't have Thanksgiving, but if they did, it would be one of those things where you'd be throwing the bread rolls, basically. But he resigned today. So not only does Boris Johnson have a 100% record loss of votes in the House of Commons, he's now lost his brother's support.
Amazing. So what does this mean? What does this mean with regard to Brexit? What does this mean with regard to the future of the Boris Johnson prime ministership, if that's the right word? And what does this mean for the UK, for the average British citizen going forward? And what might that mean for American and European relations with the UK?
Johnson met today with Vice President Mike Pence, who assured him of President Trump's support, so I should just mention that, and that things would be great under a UK-US trade deal. Well, what it means is that Boris Johnson intends to bring the same bill before Parliament on Monday that he brought earlier this week for a general election on October the 15th. So he hasn't given up. Now, is he going to get away with this? It's not clear that he will, because the Speaker of the House of Commons has before said that you can't do this. He's previously objected to the same motion being put forward twice. But we don't know. Maybe he'll get away with it. But will Labour support an early election? That's the big question. And the Labour ranks are divided on this. This is one of the big things coming up.
Does that have to do with Corbyn, or does that have to do with fear that the Conservatives will consolidate? Okay, go ahead. How so?
Well, fear that Conservatives could consolidate it. Well, a lot of it, and also Tories, Conservatives, fear that they don't trust Boris Johnson on this bill that he was defeated on, that he would not turn around and bring back a no-deal Brexit if he won an election. They don't trust. Nobody trusts him not to turn around and do that. There are Labour MPs in the ranks who want an election after October the 31st, the date for leaving the EU, and those who want an early one. A major union leader has stated, the head of the Trade Union Congress has said they should have an early election.
Right. Now, and if I can interrupt real quickly, Victoria, because I think a lot of Americans are hearing this through, understanding this through an American political lens.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, Boris Johnson, nobody in the United Kingdom ever votes for Boris Johnson. They, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they vote for their member of parliament. And then whichever party controls the majority or can create a coalition to control the majority appoints the prime minister. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
yes.
so it's not that Boris Johnson is running for re-election. It's that literally everybody in the House of Commons is running for re-election. And if Boris Johnson loses, it means a whole bunch of guys, men and women in the, presumably in the Tories, in the Conservative Party, lost their seats, right?
Yes, a lot of people could lose their seats. He's banking on the fact that he thinks he's got support in the country because of this total debacle, that he could increase the number of Conservatives. Don't forget that earlier this week, one Conservative walked across the House of Commons to the other side, meaning that Johnson no longer has a working majority of one. And
Right.
then, of course, he booted out 21 Conservatives, so he has no majority. But in Scotland, the Scottish National Party believes that Conservatives will see massive losses if there's a general election.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What does that have to? What's driving that in Scotland?
Well, Scotland is against leave. Scotland is in favour of staying in the European Union.
So even if they're Conservatives, even if they're Tories, even if they're anti-Labour in Scotland, they're still anti-Brexit.
They are, that's correct.
Right.
Yeah, and they're sick and tired of this. So it's very complicated. This bill earlier this week has now gone to the House of Lords, which will pass it. It will come back to the House of Commons. So they want to get all this done by Monday. And don't forget that Boris Johnson is suspending Parliament for a number of weeks. So there's a lot they've got to get done. But at this point, anything could happen. He gave a speech today. It was rather rambly, which is interesting because he's a bright guy, but he's unprepared. He's unprepared. He was an hour late. So the fact that he was an hour late and he was unprepared tells you that things are not going well for him. And he's got this advisor who is considered toxic, and he's taking his advice, and he's being warned by people, get rid of this guy, he's giving you bad
So is this guy like his Steve Bannon or Stephen Miller?
A sort of combo of them, but somebody who is a little different, but somebody who is really all about the theatrics.